Geno arriving in Fortnite is the next big thing Epic Games have planned, with them teasing last season the Herald at the end of the Season 3 trailer, but has now been able to unlock her in Chapter 3 Season 4, with the storyline only going one way as it gets consumed in Chrome toward the nothing, and with the whereabouts or involvement of Geno being left on a cliffhanger at the end of the Fortnite x Marvel Zero War comics. Let's just say in today's video we may have cracked the code for not only how this season's ending, introducing him potentially, but also this chapter. The storyline's about to get crazy as we explain it all today, so trust me, you don't want to miss anything. Make sure you're sticking around and watching the full video, as you also just witnessed a mirror get smashed, which means 7 years bad luck if you don't. I wouldn't risk it. However, very quickly before we dive into it all, one favour I ask of you guys, considering it takes 2 seconds and is 100% free to do, is enter my creator code FM1 3 digits inside the Fortnite item shop. You guys already know this not only puts a giant smile on my face, but cheers up my pug Gus too, who's been kinda sad about the fact he knows that 70% of all eyes watching right now are not subscribed. With that said, hit the big red button right now as we're on our final push to 2.5 million or 2.5 million subscribers, and after all it only benefits you as I do give different subscribers every single day. So if you ever want to receive something, simply make sure you subscribe to the channel with all notifications turned on, and then comment your Epic Games ID down below and let me know what you'd like to receive, so perhaps you could be gifted like this on screen in front of hundreds of thousands of eyes to see in the next video. But with that said, now enough messing around, let's deep dive into the Fortnite storyline and potentially how Geno's going to be introduced for the ending of this chapter, so make sure of course you don't go anywhere.
Don't go anywhere.
I'm not, I'm sitting on my
Don't
back.
go anywhere.
First and foremost today, before we get into the complicated lore of where Season 4's taking Fortnite in terms of its storyline, we need to first backtrack to Geno's initial appearance or involvement physically within Fortnite, and no, I'm not talking about the Season 6 Zero Crisis finale trailer where the Foundation actually mentions him to Jones. However, more specifically what happened in our last live event, storyline related, that we saw that happened in-game being Collision at the end of Chapter 3 Season 2. For those that didn't know, this small easter egg of 2 characters falling into the zero point at this precise moment, this happened to be the Imagined and also Geno, which has been confirmed now by the release of Issue 5 of Fortnite x Marvel Zero War, and despite them disappearing after this, we have the outcome of which both of those characters met in just a second that we're going to be revealing. At the very end of this live event, of course, we got our first look or glimpse to Geno in a shape-shifting like manner, as you can see from this silhouette that Zero Point showed us of him from focusing in on his location. Of course, in these moments it was also revealed that Geno's the puppet master behind everything, even above Sloan, that actually got demolished or even killed in the Collision live event itself from the mech smashing her down in a tank, which of course confirmed a lot of the questions we had as to why Dr. Sloan was trying to destroy this reality by harnessing the Zero Point in the Imagined Order for their own purpose. Well, now those questions have simply been transitioned from Sloan over to Geno, which we know is above her or the founder of the Imagined Order, particularly pulling all the strings from behind the scenes this entire time. With the release of Fortnite x Marvel Zero War's final issue, Comic Book 5, on September 28th, 2022, we not only have a coloured look now of Geno, which actually shows us an alternate view in comic book form to the Collision live event of what went on again behind the scenes that we didn't see. And what's most interesting about issue 5 is on page 20 to start with, when we get our first look or reveal to Geno, even if it is in comic book form, which we can later correlate or corroborate to the skin design Fortnite project to be upcoming based off what's been leaked. This of course is taking place during the happening of the Collision live event. As you can see, Geno states, "This is ridiculous, you're still my blood, just ask and I'll let you live and send you somewhere safe." Well, not this feral little creature who insists on stabbing me, it's starting to get extremely tiresome. And the Imagined replies, "I have a better idea, we'll send you somewhere farther," with the next scene showing the Order obviously kicking Geno in the face, stating "everywhere," and him replying, "Are you insane?" This of course is the moment then when they fall off this platform into the Zero Point that we see in the Collision live event gameplay itself that we partook in. Of course, before this happens, as we know, the Imagined and Geno, not the Order, fell into the Zero Point. Page 22 clearly shows what happened in terms of them transitioning out for this sacrifice, with Geno even stating, "You're mad, if we hit the Zero Point it'll tear us apart, scattering our bodies throughout the Omniverse." And with both daughters of Geno being the Imagined and the Order that he biologically or genetically modified to exist inside the loop, trying to find a constant escape, basically negotiating the fatal decision that's about to go ahead for one of them, the Imagined then sadly falls into the Zero Point, but we know this isn't the end of her, which we're about to reveal, so pay attention. To their surprise, of course, this didn't work, and on the next page, Geno, from sinking into the Zero Point, states, enough of all of this, wipe these failures out of existence." After falling through the uncontrolled Zero Point after the happenings of the Collision live event and everything basically crumbling that the Imagined Order had planned to do with the Collider, the Foundation and Jones find Geno and he states, "This isn't what I wanted for you, daughter, I set you free, but you could never do the same for yourself, could you?" With the Foundation prompting Geno to get away from her, he then replies, "If there were anything that could be done for my daughter, I would have done it. I'm afraid the best I could do was slow it down for the both of us." Of course, the next explanation for this that the Foundation describes to Jones is anybody who touches the uncontrolled Zero Point discorporates operates at a molecular level scattered throughout the Omniverse, and that most importantly, Geno is still dangerous despite this happening, but Geno replies, "You can't accept it, can you, that you've won? Well, in the narrow sense, you always defined it. You spoiled my plans, which incidentally were to protect and perfect every reality in the Omniverse, but there's no point arguing who the hero is now. You always believed my methods were abhorrent, that you knew a better way. Congratulations, now you get to prove it. I genuinely hope you are right, because if you fail, this means the end of everything," which, pay attention to the word everything right there, as now with the forefront again, like in Chapter 2 Season 8 with the Cube Queen making an appearance of the nothing, but now with the Herald, we have an explanation as to what the everything also is as a yin and yang factor. Geno's final words, however, before he does disappear and is scattered throughout the Omniverse, yet to be reconstructed and appear physically within Fortnite as a skin, even the Epic Games do have planned, which we're also going to be revealing. I wish I had time, you'll find out soon enough. In the meantime, master the 0 point anywhere you can. I know you believe my subjugating was obscene, immoral. Maybe you can do better by singing lullabies to it. It doesn't matter. What does is that it's your only hope, everyone's only hope. And just before his face fades out of existence or into the Omniverse scattered throughout it at the molecular level, I have to go now. If you think anything in here will be helpful, take it. You have, by my best estimation, 15 seconds till this place goes when I go. I have to admit selfishly that it's good to lay my burden down after all this time. It'll be nice to rest. And as he fades out, he says, "I forgot to ask who's the blonde fellow," meaning Jones, and he replies out of surprise, "What, I worked for you for centuries," meaning, yeah, this storyline to do with Geno is dating back very far. And with issue 5 now revealing the suit, or what Geno looks like in this particular form anyways, from comparing the outfit he's wearing to the Fortnite skin surveys, as you can see, it shows not only another version of Geno, or versions of Geno with even a mask on, but this version seems to be a lot younger, perhaps even meaning we're going back in time for what happens next, as ultimately it's not determined if we're going to be going into Chapter 3 Season 5 or even just Chapter 4. The argument for it being Chapter 3 Season 5 comes from many insiders who have information about things that are happening way in advance in the world of Fortnite, stating that the next installment or season of Fortnite still remains in Chapter 3, which is a very strange way of wording it, to be honest. I don't know why they wouldn't just say it's Chapter 3 Season 5, but instead remaining in Chapter 3. What does that mean? Either way, if that leak is true, of course it outlies, well, we're not going into Chapter 4. However, there's many things pointing toward going into Chapter 4 in itself. Not only the fact, as you can see on the Battle Pass right now, this season ends December 3rd, and then according to Dataminers and insiders again, Chapter 3 Season 5 as we supposedly know it as, or 23.00, being the next seasonal update of Fortnite, occurs December 5th, meaning we're going to be in downtime for almost 48 hours, which we've only ever previously seen transitioning from Chapter 2 Chapter, whether it's going into the nothing in Chapter 1 to Chapter 2, or like what we saw for the Chapter 2 Season 8 finale event of that chapter, where we slowly more so got washed up to the Flipside Island once it had turned over. And speaking of us seeing new maps or flipped over islands or an entire new island scene instead of just map changes going from chapter to chapter, there's one thing they all have in common. The entire island is revamped, which is very convenient considering, as Dataminers have already been able to find, as you know, codenames for the previous islands such as Apollo, Athena and Artemis are basically the coding representation of the Chapter 1, Chapter 2 and Chapter 3 islands. As you can see, this new island or map that Epic Games seem to be working on is codenamed Asteria, which obviously applies to Greek mythology, where they're pulling these codenames from in the files, correlating to each island that we've seen transition throughout Fortnite's progression. Interestingly enough, to fit our theme of seeing a younger version of Geno, perhaps even in as early as next season with this new island, as Top 5 Gaming first noticed that brought it to my attention anyways, Asteria in the Greek mythology actually could turn herself into an island, or did, and then most importantly on this island itself, Apollo and Artemis were born. Of course, with this being the codename of other prior islands we've been on for the world of Fortnite, could this be referencing we're going back to where it all began, or the beginning of Fortnite's universe before the 0 point was ever uncontained, actually being, well, codename everything? This makes sense considering we know the 0 point is the center or heart of the Fortnite omniverse or multiverses that we currently know of. A good representation of the everything being the 0 point and nothing being, well, the black hole-like state that we're eventually meant to be going into, or intended by the foes or villains that visit the Fortnite reality and try and make things go their way according to their plans, is, as you can see, this skin that was released at the start of Chapter 2 Season 1, very unique and hasn't really rotated throughout the item shop since. This skin, for those that don't know, is called Zero, and obviously is a representation in character form of the 0 point's energy. And despite the design being cool, as you can see more interestingly from the description of the character itself, it states everything and nothing, which then coincidentally, obviously the 0 point representation or character being the skin, the back bling is the black hole, obviously meaning, well, this is the nothing. We've seen the nothing referred to so many times, either by the Cube Queen, even before this in Chapter 1 by the scientist in some of the voice recordings, and now, of course, Herald, especially in the cosmetic descriptions for things attached to her particular set where we can unlock her. Don't forget too, in the most recent times of storyline development transitioning into Chapter 3 and even now in Chapter 3 Season 4, the Cube Queen, the villain, to end off Chapter 2 anyways, transitioning to the flip side, tried consuming everything, being the Fortnite Island, powered or the heart of it by the 0 points, in the sideways or this particular kind of dead scenery, with the hopes that nothing is all that remains. We now have the same premise or direction for the storyline, with this on the Chapter 3 Island by the Herald, but instead of consuming it in the sideways, it's Chrome with the hopes that nothing remains. And with it being determined that Jenna, in the final page of Fortnite X Marvel Zero War issue 5 that includes him, isn't dead, as it states not the end at the very end of the conclusion or parts of this comic particularly surrounding him. After what he said finally before fading off and being scattered throughout the Omniverse, broken down at the molecular level by the uncontrolled 0 points, could he actually have been trying to do something good all this time, from having the nothing not take over and instead containing the 0 point in the only way he knew to be safe from, well, all of these foes trying to make the nothing sweep over reality instead of everything existing? Honestly, I'm so excited for the live event ending off this season as to where the storyline goes and the explanation for it on December 5th when downtime lifts and we're either in Chapter 4, Chapter 3 Season 5 or something completely different. If you're hyped too, slap a like in today's video and make sure you subscribe to the channel with all notifications turned on so that you don't miss any more Fortnite videos, especially lore related ones with many interesting things pouring out. But speaking of other videos now, or your next destination, make sure to interact with anything on screen, I don't mind. However, most importantly, hopefully I can catch you in that very next video I do post on the channel.